we're joined today with Christina Rogers. She's a high performance therapist for entrepreneurs. Thank you for being here today.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah,
so
thanks
much, Patricia
for
and
that.
Tony. I'm so stoked to be here and chat with you guys a little bit
Yeah,
about what it is that you do and yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. So,
very
so
exciting.
how did you start getting using social media for your coaching business?
Yeah,
Any
so
hurdles along the way?
I'm sorry.
Any hurdles along the way?
Y- who doesn't have hurdles when it comes to social media? Yeah, so I initially got started with social media probably about 4 or 5 years ago when it came to like business, but I
Well,
definitely did not have a background in creation or, I wouldn't really consider myself to be a creative. And then I joined a mastermind program for my business, and that really pushed me into that direction of starting to use social media as like a marketing platform. I'm mostly on Instagram. I utilize Instagram a lot. I also have my own podcast called the Mentality Movement Podcast. So those are the two ways that I've really leveraged social media within my business. But some of the hurdles that I had along the way were just being able to effectively communicate my message and what it is that
um,
I really wanted to put out there and how I wanted to provide value to people. That was probably the biggest hurdle that I had to overcome, and really getting someone that had already been there and was already doing those things was really helpful in kind of getting me over that hump and really encouraging me and kind of working through some of my own mental blocks around being visible on online around my business.
I mean, just what you do with mindset, right? That's the hardest thing is to get yourself in front of the camera
Yeah.
and get past that. And it's all in here. So if we can get over that hurdle, it is a much smoother process.
Yeah.
Um, so for real estate agents that are, looking to scale their
Yeah.
business, right? So what mindset shifts would you say are essential to break through to, for financial and personal barriers?
Yeah, good question. Good question.
Uh-huh.
I think that would probably take us a whole day to really talk about all of like the mental blocks that we go through as entrepreneurs. But
Yeah.
the top three things that I see, and you guys, work just exclusively with real estate agents, so I'm sure that you probably know the more of the specifics. But I'll kind of give like maybe three of the broad overview things that I see with entrepreneurs that
Uh-huh.
I work with. And one of the mindset blocks that I see a lot is we wrap our identity into our accomplishments. So,
Uh-huh.
who we are is supposed to be, or it's better if it's separate from what it is that we do. But a lot of times when we're asked, hey, like, you're meeting someone for the first time, the first question you ask is, what do you do? Right? It's not who you are. So I
Right.
think we kind of get caught in that as well. And I'm sure on the real estate side, it's how many houses you've sold, it's how much money you've made, it's how many happy
Uh-huh.
clients you have. So it's all about what you've accomplished and not really about who you are as a person and how you're showing up. And
Right. It's more like social proof, right?
Right, yeah, and over
Mhm.
time, that can cause issues because let's say you know, don't make a sale or, you've walked your clients through like till the end of the process and they back out. And then you
Uh-huh.
start to think, "Oh my gosh, like is it something I did? Is it, am I a failure now? Am I not as good as I thought I was?"
You're right.
So, tying what it is that we do to our identity as a person can be really
Uh-huh.
harmful at times. And I think entrepreneurs, especially, don't really realize that because a lot of times we're the face of our company or we're the face of what we're doing. And it can be really easy to tie our identity into that, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. That does make a lot of sense. Yeah.
Um,
Never heard it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, the second thing that a lot of people don't realize is the limiting beliefs that we have around, just about anything that we do. Uh,
Uh-huh.
so a lot of our limiting beliefs are based on the narrative that we tell ourselves about who we are and how we show up in the world. And those limiting beliefs can actually play out throughout our lifetime if we're not aware of them, whether it's money
Uh-huh.
mindset blocks, mindsets around being able to show up online, right? Like being able to be present
Uh-huh.
and be visible. If we were taught growing up that we were meant to, be seen but not heard, that can have an effect on how we show up in our business. If we
Absolutely.
always felt like we had to accomplish something to be successful or
Hmm.
to be, liked, that can play a part in how we show up in our business and how we show up online. So there's all of these beliefs that we have about ourselves that can kind of come out as we grow as entrepreneurs and we start to try to expand outwardly. And then, yeah, like I think those are probably the two biggest things that I see with entrepreneurs, and two of the things that I probably target the most when I initially start working with them. Uh, and then, yeah, I guess one more thing would probably be like the emotional intelligence side of things that
Hmm.
play a part in a lot of the mindset work that we're going to talk a little bit more about. But um, not processing how we're feeling, not really being in touch with what it is that is going on for us. Because if we don't actually process what's going on internally, it can manifest outwardly, right? Um,
Yeah.
so that can be like burnout, stress, poor relationships.
Right.
Not
And
being
I,
able
I
to
think everyone
communicate.
kind of has to, like you said, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
I'm
no, go ahead.
sorry. No, but with entrepreneurs, kind of that's who they are, who they seem to be. I get that. I see that
Mhm.
completely to where it's hard to, because if you're selling yourself, you're selling your business, you're forever trying to, you're that,
Make sure.
right? For that time, and which seems to be all the time, right? So that burnout is yeah, I see that.
Yeah. It's something that, because I was an athlete throughout most of my life. I played sports in college. When I initially started in this in to be being an entrepreneur, I didn't think that I would be working with entrepreneurs. I thought I was going to be working with
Yeah,
athletes. But come to
sure.
find out, you know, athletes and entrepreneurs have very similar mindsets.
Oh, whoa.
So we were taught to shut off our emotions to be successful, right? And
Well,
I think that that is something that we carry over into our lives as business owners, but it catches up with us
uh-huh.
eventually, right? And like you said, like the stress and the burnout. If we aren't dealing with what's going on with ourselves internally, we can only grow to a certain extent.
Right, and we're only human, right?
Yes,
So
so
everybody
true,
has,
so true.
you know.
Yep.
Yeah, have you seen the Inside Out too, by any
I went and
chance?
saw it
Yeah.
Tuesday.
It's beautiful. I loved
Yes.
it. I want to see it again, actually.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
awesome. I mean, I love the Inside Out movies anyway, but yeah, the way that they were
Yeah.
able to kind of display some of that the emotional stuff.
And then to know that it's all those emotions all happening all in little Riley's head,
Yep.
so
Yeah, so
yeah.
true. So true.
Hmm. Okay, so let's see here. Thank you for that. Tony, had any questions on that by any chance?
No,
No? Okay.
uh,
So what common mistakes do you commonly see with new entrepreneurs to that you can recommend to avoid those pitfalls?
Yeah, for sure. Boundaries is probably the biggest thing.
Oh,
I think, in relationships, we don't really know how to set boundaries properly because we weren't really taught that growing up. And then when we end up working for ourselves or kind of being on our own timeline, we have a really hard time setting boundaries around work. And that tends to bleed over into how we show up in our personal lives, right? We tend to not really be
absolutely.
present in our personal lives outside of work. Things tend to bleed over,
Uh-huh.
because of social media and how accessible we become. We end up working a lot when, if we didn't have all those things, we'd be able to shut it off maybe a little bit differently. So
Absolutely.
the biggest thing that I see with new entrepreneurs is when we're working for ourselves, we have a really hard time setting boundaries around work or kind of like having those, set timelines or, or turning on and turning off. We don't really have those transition periods anymore. And I think we have to start to create them for ourselves and really hold ourselves accountable to that.
Yeah, Tony and I, we actually had to do that because, in real estate, there is no set schedule
Mm.
at all.
Right.
It's you have to have that flexibility to come and go and kind of work those late nights and whatever. But as for our regular daily, let's just say email check-ins, like there was that cutoff time. We had to do that for ourselves to just have that boundary and that break. And I think just that little move that we made there
Yeah.
really set the tone for boundaries,
That's true.
for me at least, personally and
Yeah,
professionally. So, right.
yeah, and there's
Um,
definitely a lot of parallels between real estate, being a realtor, and being an entrepreneur. I've always said that being a realtor, you're running a small business.
Was it?
mhm,
You do the marketing, you do the client relations, you do the sales, you do all that as one person or a team
mhm,
in our case.
Yeah.
So it definitely um, all these good tips about setting boundaries and making sure that you don't burn yourself out or just go nonstop is
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
well,
important.
I think it's easier said than done, right? Because it's, people, it's hard times too as well,
Mhm.
and a lot of people are burned out just trying to get ahead too,
It's
so it's a balance. It's a balance of knowing yourself and know what you're able to do and not do. But it's live and learn. Like I said, it took me 40 plus years to figure that out a little bit. I'm still figuring out daily. There's
same.
learning every day.
Same.
Yeah. you know, I tell my kids too, we're parenting for the first time, we're adulting for the
That's
first time. Like we're learning as we go, and times are different too, right?
right. Yeah, no,
Um,
completely. Yeah, and when I say entrepreneurs, like I consider real estate agents to be entrepreneurs because you're making your own schedule. You have that like
yeah,
time and
yeah,
flexibility, freedom. So yeah, like even if you are part of like a realtor, business, like
mhm.
I think every real estate agent independently is pretty much an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
They are,
yeah.
they are, and I think that's important to understand too going into it,
For
because
sure.
there's a lot of new agents that are watching Selling Sunset or
Yeah,
one of those shows, right? So they paint that picture is already painted, and it's just
for
easy
sure.
breezy, and it's not. I mean, it's you're like you said, you're a full blown entrepreneur, and either you have to put it all yourself all into it too,
Yeah, and that's actually a really
Um,
good point, which I also wanted to say that a mistake that new
mhm,
entrepreneurs make is not defining success for themselves. So,
mhm,
like, what does success actually mean to you as a real estate agent? And really defining that for yourself and then creating, that, definition based on your values and what you value as a person.
mhm.
Because I think a lot of times we're looking at what everyone else is doing and we're defining success based on that and we're chasing
Right.
after that, but it's not really what we want or what is important to us. It's what we think we want, right? Because it's the shiny
Yeah, and
object.
a lot of it's social,
Right.
right? So a lot of it is just all the fluff and glitz and glamour,
Right.
and may not be the real deal behind the scenes. So
Right.
yeah, that trying to be like or comparing, or why am I not at the at that stage just yet?
For sure.
Everyone has their own time and barriers to break through and get to where they gotta go,
Yeah.
right?
So true.
Yeah.
So true.
Mhm. And let's see, and one last question.
Yeah.
If real estate agents, it says many real estate agents struggle with balancing
Sure.
personal growth and then with the professional demands. So, what strategies would you recommend for maintaining that kind of balance?
Yeah. That's a really great question. I think that's probably one that a lot of people ask. And
Mhm,
yeah, I think the reason why we feel so unbalanced is because we're disconnecting from ourselves, or we're not
mhm,
taking the time to connect with ourselves and really learn and grow from within, to
uh-huh,
understand how to make those moves, whether it's be financially in business or even just in personal growth and development. Like, we have to be in touch with what's going on internally to be able to expand externally. That's how I look at it. So
yeah,
like, what does your morning routine look like? Are you grounding yourself before you, start your day? Are you creating space and
mhm,
time for you to process things? And I think a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we don't prioritize that.
uh-uh,
I actually utilize what I like to call the MVP2 method. And what that is it's meditation for 5 minutes in the morning. It's
uh-huh,
visualization. So, like, kind of walking yourself through your day and connecting with your five senses. So you're almost like visualizing your day before it happens and connecting with those parts of yourself before it even happens. And then P is for prayer, and that doesn't even have to be anything, tied to religion or your faith. It can be, connecting with something bigger than yourself, higher power of some
mhm,
sorts. And then the other P is for pages. I like to read 10 pages of a personal development book a day. Um, and I think doing those four things allows for you to create that space to connect with yourself and really ground yourself in what it is that you want and what's important to you. And really kind of connect with yourself internally, if that makes sense. And I think that that allows for us to create that balance for ourselves.
Those are great. That's a great
That's
tip.
awesome.
How long have you been doing that method?
So I love mornings. Mornings are like my peaceful time. But when I became a therapist,
Talking to a night owl, but
what do you say?
I said you're talking to a night owl,
Okay.
but
Well, you could do it at night too.
sure.
But when I became a therapist, I started, and you guys as real estate agents are somewhat therapists to your clients too. So
Yes. Yeah.
you're in the people business, right? And what I
Yeah.
started to learn was I was, taking a lot of that like emotional baggage home, or I was thinking a lot about like what my clients were experiencing, and I was not able to turn it off and like have
Mhm.
that space and time. So I've been doing that since I became, a therapist and became independent from the group practice I was working with. I realized, oh, like I can utilize this time to anchor myself and really have that time to process through those things, so I can show up better in my business. And
Well,
I actually have a free resource on my Instagram page. It's called the Miracle Morning Mindset Cheat Sheet. And it gives you all of
oh,
the tools that you can use to kind of create a morning routine that works for you. And I think that's probably like the best place to start if you are feeling disconnected or unbalanced, with your life in business, in your personal life. I think that's
what I love about it is I think it's so you simplified it, right? To where it's like 5 minutes here, maybe 10 pages there. So for me, it's like all doable,
yeah,
you know?
yes.
it's
Yeah.
And that's
it's
that's
not
really what
like
it is,
you're
right? It,
so
it feels so
yeah.
consuming to sit down and really
Uh-huh.
process through some of this stuff. But if you kind of create those limits or boundaries around those things, I think it can be more effective.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm gonna implement that. I'm
Yeah.
gonna give it
Yeah,
Yeah.
go get my free cheat sheet. It's right on my Instagram
I
page.
Yeah.
will. I will.
I'll definitely check
We'll
it
link
out.
it. We'll
Yeah,
put the
yeah,
link
yeah,
in there
yeah.
somewhere. Yeah. Very nice.
Uh,
Yeah. So I mean, I love this. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Do a
Thank you
part
so much
two
for.
another day.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And, I love what you guys are doing, and even just incorporating,
Thank you.
mindset work into what it is that you guys do, as real estate agents and as business owners. Like, I think you're a step ahead of the game. And
Thank
all the
you.
stuff you guys are doing with social media, like, wow. Yeah,
Thanks. And it's us. You said it's Tony and I, right? So we're doing what we're doing.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, what was it? You just said something that made me think of. No, I appreciate that. I do. Um, I lost my train of thought. I
It's
apologize.
okay.
But yeah,
all good.
I love, yeah. But no, pleasure meeting you. Oh, the mindset thing. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if you can see my office, but I'm surrounded by all the sayings and the quotes
Yeah.
and we do try. I mean, not we do try. Our goal is with the unengaged agent and our real estate page is just we're positive vibes going forward. Like we're not here to bring in the negative of anything.
The,
If there's a negative topic, we'll try to bring a positive spin to it because
yeah.
I think there's just so much of that noise
Mm.
around anyway. So even within the Facebook groups, when we dive in, we're not there to bash. I'm not there for not my interest at all, right? So it's choices that you make throughout the day and how your day can be and which way you're looking at it, right? So
Gosh.
yeah, I love mindset stuff. So yeah, thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
your time, and I love meeting you. I loved your shirt that said mindset shifts.
Oh,
Because you
yeah.
were sitting in front of me. I don't know if you know, you were sitting in front of me at the conference, and you went up on the panel, and
Uh-huh.
that's when I heard you talk about mental health, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna talk to her because then I saw your mindset the next day, and so
Oh, that's
appreciate it.
awesome. I'm so glad
Yeah,
you guys pulled me aside and introduced yourselves, and like, wow, like awesome for you guys for going to an event like that, for healthcare
well, thanks
providers.
to Greg
Yeah.
Todd, right? Greg
Yeah.
Todd for sure. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, even what we're putting out there, like with our webinar for AI and automation for real estate agents, it really can be applied to any
Yep.
business, just it's all the same, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we've learned a whole lot of everything from SSHC, and and meeting a great, amazing new people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm so happy I got to meet you guys, and I need to have you guys on
Yeah.
my podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're
whatever you
anytime.
like.
Let us know.
All right.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks. All right. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day. Thank you so much.